Today, I will introduce to you a science fiction horror film called Splice. Two scientists, Clive Nicolay and Elsa Cast, are experts in the field of genetic engineering. They work for a company called Newstead, where experiments are conducted on splicing DNA from different animal species to create new creatures for medical purposes. After several unsuccessful attempts, Clive and Elsa finally achieve success in their project. The couple witnesses their creations with amazement and decides to name the two strange creatures Fred and Ginger. These creatures were created with the purpose of producing medical proteins for livestock. After witnessing the astonishing results and the potential opportunities their experiment offers, Clive and Elsa predict that they might be able to apply this DNA splicing technique to humans. The two scientists believe that, if applied correctly, this technique could be a miracle cure. It could cure a range of currently incurable diseases, such as Alzheimer's and Parkinson's. However, this idea does not receive approval from their bosses, Joan Chirot and William Barlow. These people strictly forbid them from conducting experiments on humans because it could harm the company's reputation. Determined to continue their research, Clive and Elsa decide to conduct the experiment secretly. After several failed attempts, they finally create a successful human-animal hybrid. Excited by this scientific breakthrough, Elsa decides to bring the genetic specimen to the breeding room to begin developing the creature they created. Clive opposes this idea, but Elsa is eager to continue the experiment because she believes this could be the solution to many human diseases. Elsa convinces Clive by telling him not to worry, because they will destroy the creature before it fully develops, so no one will ever know. Clive begins operating the machinery, and the conception process began. Later, Clive has a conversation with a young colleague. He asks Clive and Elsa what they are researching, but Clive cleverly avoids the question. Meanwhile, Elsa is checking the incubator when suddenly the creature's heart stops beating. She panicked but quickly sighed in relief when she heard the creature's heartbeat again. After finishing their work, Elsa and Clive rested at their apartment, discussing moving to a larger place. The conversation continued, and the two began talking about having children, which made Elsa appear worried. The conversation was interrupted by an alarm ringing on Clive's phone. They immediately rushed to the laboratory. It turns out the fetus was ready to be born even though it was still a few months away from the expected due date. Clive and Elsa tried to fix the machine and stop the creature's birth process, but they were unsuccessful. During this time, Elsa injured her hand. The creature was finally born, and before it could escape and cause more damage, Clive managed to keep it contained under a plastic box. Clive rushed to help Elsa, who was convulsing and unconscious due to her injury, potentially poisoned by the creature's venom. Clive injected Elsa with a drug, and she gradually recovered. Elsa and Clive returned to their apartment, but the birth had left both of them in shock. Clive began expressing the thought that they should destroy the creature they had created. Elsa told Clive that there was still much they could learn from this situation, but Clive had decided the creature must be destroyed. Before long, they went to the lab to kill the creature, but upon entering, they discovered a dead mass inside the incubator. After closer examination, Elsa noticed that although there was a lot of dead tissue in the incubator, the creature's entire body was missing. Immediately, she heard small, quick footsteps coming towards her. When she turned around, she encountered a small chicken-like creature, and it immediately bonded with her. Elsa and Clive attempted to knock the creature unconscious and began studying it. They discovered that the creature could secrete venom, even though there were no predator genes in its DNA. As the creature continued to grow, they realized it was aging rapidly due to faulty DNA. One night, Clive met Barlow, who informed him that if they couldn't sell the medical protein from Ginger and Fred, Newstead would face serious trouble. Clive and Elsa would be held accountable. A month passed, and the creature had grown very quickly. Based on its behavior, it could be concluded that it had the intelligence of an infant. Elsa gradually formed a bond with the creature, treating it more like a child than a scientific experiment. This worried Clive, and Elsa went so far as to release the creature from its containment area and remove its venom gland cap. After the creature spelled the word nerd using toys and noticed the company logo on Elsa's lab coat, Elsa decided to name it Dren, because nerd spelled backward is Dren. Elsa's treatment of Dren led to an argument between her and Clive. It seemed their experiment was at risk of being discovered, as their lab was about to undergo renovations. This raised the possibility that someone might uncover their forbidden experiment. At this time, Gavin, Clive's younger brother and a lab colleague, sneaked into the room to eavesdrop on their conversation but accidentally encountered Dren. Terrified, Gavin quickly ran away. To keep Dren a secret, Clive and Elsa decided to secretly move her out in a cardboard box. They hid her in a storage area, away from prying eyes. However, they discovered that Dren had a dangerously high fever, which deeply worried Elsa. Elsa and Clive quickly placed Dren in a cold water bath to lower her fever. While Clive held Dren underwater, it was revealed that the creature had developed strange lungs. That night, Elsa cared for Dren, giving her a Barbie doll, something Elsa had to hide from her mother when she was young. As time passed, Dren grew considerably, and her appearance began to resemble that of a woman. While Elsa and Clive were fooling around and eventually having sex on the couch, Dren secretly watched them from the adjacent room. The next day, Clive and Elsa presented their first hybrid creations, Fred and Ginger, to the public. However, the presentation went horribly wrong when the two creatures became extremely aggressive and fought to the death. Upon examining the situation, Clive and Elsa discovered that Ginger had transformed into a male. The reason for this change remained unclear. Clive and Elsa decided to move Dren to an old farm that Elsa's mother once owned. When they arrived at the farm, Dren ran off to look for food. After setting up Dren's room in the horse stable, Elsa and Clive entered the main house. Upon opening the door, they encountered a filthy room with only a bed, a single chair, and a bucket, revealing that Elsa had grown up in an abusive environment. Meanwhile, Dren was unhappy with life on the farm. With her two creators away at work all day and only a cat as her companion, Dren began to rebel. This made Clive feel fine, in contrast to Elsa, who felt extremely anxious about this behavior. To keep Dren under control, Elsa decided to stay home and spend time caring for her. She tried to make Dren happy by doing her makeup and dressing her in jewelry, things Elsa's mother had strictly forbidden during her own childhood. While checking the vanity, Elsa discovered numerous drawings of Clive but none of herself. Dren became anxious when she saw Elsa discover this and ran off to look for her cat. However, Elsa had taken it and told Dren that she couldn't have everything she wanted as it was part of growing up. When Clive returned home, he found Dren upset and tried to cheer her up by playing music and dancing with her. While dancing, Clive felt forbidden emotions toward Dren and realized that Elsa had used part of her own DNA to create Dren. He decided to confront Elsa. The two argued, and ultimately, Clive left. After Clive left, Elsa decided to return the cat she had previously taken away to Dren. However, Dren had killed the cat, which angered Elsa, and she slapped Dren. Dren lunged at Elsa to grab the stable key to escape but was knocked unconscious and tied to the operating table. Elsa began removing Dren's jewelry and clothing, and due to her violent behavior, she also cut off Dren's venomous stinger. When Clive arrived, Elsa took the stinger back to the lab to extract proteins and synthesize them for her work. The next day, Clive went to the farm to find Elsa but encountered Dren, who tried to seduce him. At first, Clive refused, but eventually, he couldn't resist, and the two engaged in sexual intercourse. Meanwhile, Dren regenerated the previously severed stinger, which greatly terrified Clive. Elsa unexpectedly walked in and witnessed the scene. She fled in disgust. Clive chased after her, and the two got into the car, driving back to their old apartment, where they had an argument about Elsa's views on Dren. There, Elsa revealed that she wanted to create a child instead of having one the traditional way. She longed to control that child, a need possibly stemming from her past abuse. When the argument ended, they returned to the farm, only to find Dren dead in her bed. They buried Dren and burned her clothes. While sorting through Dren's belongings, Elsa found drawings Dren had made of her. At that moment, Gavin and Barlow appeared, having uncovered Elsa and Clive's secret. Before they could discuss it, Dren suddenly reappeared, now with a more masculine appearance, revealing that Dren too, like Ginger, had transformed into the opposite gender. Dren became aggressive, killing Barlow and Gavin, then lunged at Clive. Elsa managed to run into the woods but didn't get far as Dren quickly caught up to her. Dren attacks Elsa, forcing her to the ground and raping her, but Clive intervened by stabbing Dren from behind with a branch. Dren turned on Clive, prompting Elsa to use a rock to strike Dren's head, ending the creature's life once and for all. After everything that had happened, Elsa remained an employee of Newstead and was authorized to continue researching the proteins found in Dren's body. As Elsa stood up, her pregnant belly was revealed, suggesting that she might be carrying a genetically modified child. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to watch more videos like this. Thank you for watching.